All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many .NET developers. It's a really common but super critical performance mistake. Honestly, it's a sneaky little trap that can have a huge impact on your application speed, and it all boils down to two interfaces you probably use every day: IEnumerable and IQueryable.
So I want you to ask yourself this question. Seriously, are your LINQ queries secretly killing your app's performance? You know the one I'm talking about. That really elegant, clean-looking query you were so proud of. It probably runs just fine on your dev machine, right? But what about in production? Well, that same query could be secretly pulling thousands, maybe even millions, of records from your database that it doesn't even need. So yeah, let's figure out how to spot this problem and how to fix it.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain and really get into what makes this such a hidden trap. The whole key, the whole secret, is understanding the difference between these two interfaces.
You know, on the surface, these two look practically identical. I mean, they both let you work with collections, they both let you use all your favorite link methods like where and order by. But the real story, the part that absolutely crushes performance, is all about where that filtering and sorting actually takes place. Trust me, this one little difference, it changes everything.
All right, to make this super clear, I'm going to use an analogy. Let's imagine we're going to the grocery store. I like to call this a tale of two shoppers. Okay, first up, we have IEnumerable. Think of this as our, let's call it the over-enthusiastic shopper. This person runs into the store, grabs one of everything off every single shelf, shoves it all into a massive shopping cart, pays for it, brings it all home, and then dumps it on the kitchen floor. Only then do they start looking through the pile and say, oh yeah, I just needed milk and eggs. It's completely bonkers, right? Incredibly inefficient. But then you've got IQueryable. This is our smart shopper. This person walks into the store with a very specific list, hands it to the clerk and says, I just need these two things. They get exactly what they need and nothing more. All the hard work of finding the items happens at the store, not back at your house.
So that's a neat analogy and all, but what does this actually look like in our code? Let's dive in and see the real-world consequences where this stuff really matters. First, let's look at the IEnumerable approach, our over-enthusiastic shopper. And I guarantee you've seen this pattern out in the wild. This is exactly where those performance problems start to creep in.
Take a look at this code. See that little method call right there, .toList? That is the culprit. The absolute second your code hits that line, it's like it picks up a megaphone, calls the database, and just screams, give me everything in the users table, now! It doesn't matter if there are 10,000 rows or 10 million rows, they all get dragged across the network and loaded into your app's memory. And that .where filter you see after it? Oh, that still runs, but it runs in your application's memory long after the damage has been done. And here's the proof. This is the actual SQL that gets sent to your database. It's so simple and so inefficient. Select star from users. That's it. Your database has absolutely no clue you only wanted a few specific users. So it's forced to do all this work, package up the entire table, and send it over. You're just torching network bandwidth, application memory, and your database's CPU for no good reason.
Okay, so how do we fix this disaster? Well, this is where our smart shopper, IQueryable, comes to the rescue. The change in the code is tiny, but the impact, oh, it's massive.
Now look at this. The big difference? No premature .toList call. Instead of immediately fetching the data, IQueryable works like a query builder. It takes your .where clause and your .order by and all your other conditions, and it builds up what's called an expression tree. You could think of it like a recipe for the data you want. It's only at the very last second, when you actually need the data, like when you loop over it, that Entity Framework looks at that whole recipe and translates it into a beautiful, highly specific SQL query. And that means all the filtering happens right where it belongs, on the powerful database server.
So let's just boil it all down to the most important point. With IEnumerable, your app does the filtering after it's already downloaded everything. With IQueryable, the database does the filtering. And that's the whole game. It means instead of your network having to handle the entire dataset, it only gets the tiny little slice of results you actually needed. It really is the difference between trying to drink from a fire hose versus sipping through a straw.
Okay, so after all that, you're probably thinking, great, I'll just use IQueryable for everything. Well, not so fast. It's not about one being good and the other bad. It's always about using the right tool for the right job.
So when should you reach for IQueryable? Simple. Anytime you're talking to a database, especially with something like Entity Framework. If you're working with potentially huge data sets and you need to do any kind of filtering, sorting, or paging, you absolutely want to let the database do that heavy lifting for you. It's just fundamental for building fast, scalable applications.
IEnumerable, on the other hand, is absolutely perfect for when the data is already in your application's memory. So if you've got a list or an array or some other collection that's already loaded and ready to go, well, there's no database to talk to. In that case, you're just using LINQ to objects, and IEnumerable is exactly what you want. It's fast, simple, and perfect for in-memory operations.
Okay, we've covered a lot, but if you walk away remembering just one thing, I want it to be this. It all comes down to a single golden rule. Here it is. If your data is coming from a database, think IQueryable. If your data is already sitting in memory, think IEnumerable. That's it. Database is IQueryable, memory is IEnumerable. If you can just burn that into your brain, you'll sidestep one of the biggest and most expensive performance traps in all of .NET. Seriously.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a challenge. Go back and look at your own code. I want you to hunt for those places where you might be calling .toList or .toArray way too early. Where are you accidentally being that over-enthusiastic shopper? Find one. I bet you can. And you know what? Fixing it might be a simple one-line change, but it could easily be the biggest performance win you get all week.